Good evening, everybody, and welcome again, all the way from sunny Devon. And guess what? It's nice and sunny out here. But in the meantime, I've got Claire with me. Hello, Claire. How are you?
Hello, Steve. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Good. It's nice to have a cheery person on. A nice cheery person on. Yeah, it's really nice. So tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So, my name's Claire Ford. I'm an expert educator and a wellbeing entrepreneur, and I help kids to switch back on to education. If they've been feeling unmotivated, disengaged, then I help them to untap their unique brilliance and switch back on to education so that they are confident, happy, and academically successful.
You say that, but I read something today that there are many children at this moment of the time um, really don't want to go back to school because they're afraid of the coronavirus and everything.
That's right.
So what's your opinion about that?
Well, they're right to be afraid. They've had such a terrible year, haven't they? And social anxiety is at an all-time high. It's not something that we can just ignore. And the thing is, what I offer in my academy, what children need is a consistent approach. They need consistency in order to make progress. Now, schooling in the last 18 months around the world has been anything but consistent. And I think that this causes issues, not just in their academic progress, but it causes emotional issues as well, where one week they're in school, then they're at home, or they go to school and their friend's not there, they're in a bubble and they've been sent home. It's been very, very confusing for our young people. And in some ways, I can understand them not wanting to go back to school because it's just been such an upheaval for them.
Mm. Well, the trouble is, a third of the school children in the UK, primary school age, parents do not want to take their children to school because they're afraid about this COVID business.
Yes. Well, in response to the initial lockdown 18 months ago, I set up the Home Education Hub, which was to support parents, not necessarily homeschoolers, but anybody who was educating their children at home, to support them with resources, to support them with activities, ideas, and other experts in the field as well who could offer advice. So, if you have to keep your child off school, or if you choose to actually deregister your child because you want to make sure that they're safe and because you want to make sure that they're getting a consistent education that meets their needs, then, please do get in touch. And also, there is so much information out there now to support parents in with the education of their child.
And what do you say when there's because what's everything going on, about 18 months now, about children is gone for their exams and everything, and and they haven't taken their exams for because of the COVID. They're probably depressed, down. What do you say about that?
Well, I totally agree with you. They are. And we need to acknowledge that, as parents and as educators. And we need to give them time to adjust. I think the thing is, it's about having a conscious conversation and to understand that, one of the things I say is children are more than their grades. Yes, by all means, give them the opportunity to sit an exam. But, you can talk to them and say, you may not do as well in this exam as you might have otherwise done. And that's okay. You're not defined by your grade. You can always retake the exam if it's an important step that you need to have in your repertoire to move you forwards. To be honest, if it's not an important thing that you need for your future, then get the grade you get, and that's okay. We're not going to judge you by that, right?
Mm-hmm. And getting back to yourself, so how can you help people then? How can you help the children out there?
Yeah, so what I do in my academy is I provide support to basically get those foundations in place, but I also offer personal development courses, and a wealth of emotional well-being tools as well, because it's not just about the grades. As you've so rightly pointed out, children are depressed, they're disengaged, they're anxious, they've fallen behind, their confidence has plummeted. An anxious, scared, frustrated, unconfident learner is not going to get the best grades, however intelligent they might be. So it's about looking at the whole child. And this is what I do with the tutoring that I offer in small groups, in one-to-one. We look at all these different things, the growth mindset tools, the emotional well-being tools, and then what's needed to get those foundations solid and secure again, with everything that's been forgotten and has to be relearned, so that they can then soar and make the success and get the achievements that they're perfectly capable of, but they just haven't had the support there over the last 18 months, or perhaps for even longer.
Yeah, totally agree. So, what kind of well-being tools can you offer them?
Yes, I mean, the thing is, teen depression and suicide is on the rise. So some of the things that we talk about in the Home Education Hub, and the things that I talk about with coaching with my teams, is around body image. It's talking around self-esteem, right? It's giving them a sense of self-worth and where they belong in this world. So, for example, I do a course called Discovering Your Path. And I actually set this up in response to how my sons were feeling during the June last year, when they couldn't take their exams, and how lost they felt, how completely confused they were, that they'd done all this work over years and years and years. And then the GCSEs and the A levels were taken away from them, and they were kind of floundering, and they were like, well, what is all this about? And where do I go from here? And, what am I actually doing with my life? And I think the reason that so many young people feel so helpless and hopeless is because this old rigid path that we as adults and educators, thought was the pathway to success, it's just kind of disappeared. And it isn't. There are young people who are entrepreneurs, who are setting up at the ages of 10 and 11 and upwards, who I've interviewed in podcasts and things, who are totally inspiring and who are making money and who are being entrepreneurial. They don't need to go to school to do that, right? So it's about giving young people ownership of who they are and of the decisions of where they want to go. And I do this in a whole course, like it's an 8-week program, but basically they define their path by understanding their own values, their gifts, their talents, their strengths. And I also help them, we talk around perseverance, around resilience, around having SMART goals to work towards every day. We also do things like time management systems. We do things like study skills, so that they really understand how they function, how their brain functions, how their body functions, how they work best, and they become internally motivated. And it's so exciting, Steve, when we see them really switch on and take ownership of their decisions, of their education, of their health and well-being, and they know where they're going and what they need to do to get there.
Trouble is, so if it's like a family business, some some children kind of like get brought up in the business, and some of them haven't got a choice, have they? Because them, mum and dad wants to, I don't know, think they want to be an undertaker, say. You know what I mean? So they've been brought up, so we don't. So young children today, they haven't got a choice, because parents are coming get in the way, and they will say, right, this is what I want you to do, and I think us parents need to give our children space, and
Yeah.
not to be on top of them all the time.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because often when they are given that space, they will come up with solutions which are right for them. I can talk about my son, for example. So he's always wanted to be a film director. And since the age of 7, we've been helping him to make his films. Now, when it came to lockdown, he had lots of time on his hands because he couldn't go to school. And so he's always doodled, right? From the age of dot, he's doodled. And even in primary school, his teachers used to say, in the parents' evenings, his book doesn't look tidy, it's got little scribbles in, it's got all of this in. So he's always been an amazing artist. Now, when he did GCSE art, he got quite a low grade because he was really disengaged. He was really furious, actually. He's like, but I don't want to draw in the way of this person. I don't want to paint in the way of this person. I want to be Alex Ford, the artist. I don't want to be the next Picasso. Picasso's already done his thing, right? So he was kind of battling against the system, which was asking him to be creative, but creative in a box, right?
Yeah.
So when it came to thinking about the next pathways, doing art didn't even cross our minds. Like, he'd stopped at GCSE, he wasn't even doing it for A level, he didn't get a great grade in GCSE, and he wasn't enjoying it at school. With lockdown, he started painting because he could, because he had that space that you're talking about, because it came from his soul, not because he had to do it. And he started creating the most incredible paintings on big canvases and everything else. And we were like, wow, Alex, this is amazing what you're producing. And he really got into it, and he decided to apply off his own back. He decided to apply to the best art college in London to go on and do a foundation year, right, in the best art college in London. And everybody was like, but that's a bit crazy. Like, you're not even doing art A level. You haven't even got a portfolio. Like, you haven't even got an art teacher, for goodness sake, right? How are you going to do this? Now, he did it. He did it. He did his research. He did his whole portfolio. In fact, at one point, he even ran out of paint because of lockdown. He started using paprika and cinnamon and turmeric, all mixed in with flour and water, right, to make this concoction that he could paint with, right? Now, when he got to the interview, here's the thing. This is what I'm talking about. When he got to the interview to be accepted on the course, he could talk passionately about what he was doing because he knew exactly why he'd taken every step he'd taken. He knew exactly the concept behind what he was doing because he'd come up with it. It wasn't something that the A-level teacher had said, it needs to be like this and your portfolio needs to be like this and stick that post-it there and do that bit there. Anything his art teachers had told him to do, he didn't do. And yet he got himself into the top art college in London because they could see how passionate he was and how gifted he was, and that was the path that he was going down, even to do film, because he took the 4D option where he can put his films in art galleries. Now, I would never have thought of that as his mother saying, you should go and do a degree in media and film studies. No, he said, that's not what film people do, right? So you're right. We need to give our young people benefit of the doubt and time and space to work out their own way of doing things so that they can then talk about that, and bring something to the table that's an essence of them, not a cutout figure of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what we do on here. We give people a voice, and if we can, we help them, but we also encourage them to do whatever they want to do, and that's what we do on here. Um, I want to talk about more about your business. So, why did you make your business up in the first place?
Yeah, so basically, I've been teaching now for sort of 20 odd years, but a while ago, so after I'd been in mainstream teaching for 12 years, to be honest with you, I was on the brink of a nervous breakdown, right? Like many teachers, they're leaving the industry in droves. It was all too much.
Why
And
is that? Why is that? Why are they? Because this country is short of teachers, and
no,
you know
not
why
so
is everybody leaving?
Because it's just the most horrendous profession to work in. You know, the pressure is just ridiculous. And the amount of hoops you have to jump through, the bureaucracy, the paperwork, all the box ticking, it's just crazy. And you cannot keep up with everything. You know, I was working till 3 and 4 in the morning to get everything done, as well as raising my two boys and trying to run a household, you know, on a really minimal salary. And it just wasn't sustainable. As much as I loved the job and I loved the kids and I loved teaching, I ended up believing, well, I could see that I was not serving the children in my class. At one point, I was teaching year 5, 6 class in primary school combined and taking on the other teachers' class as well who'd gone out sick. So I was teaching 60 children who were between the ages really of 9 and 11, with all the special needs children in there, with all the talented and gifted grammar stream children in there, and with obviously the majority middle of the road children in there who just plod along, right? And, you know, I had a TA, but she was off sick. I had a student teacher, they didn't pass. So I didn't have the support I needed to really hone in and get the results that those children could have gotten. And that was the thing that really broke my heart the most, that I was neither serving the children that needed the support, nor was I serving the children that could fly to move them on and take them to the next level that they were capable of. And I wasn't even helping the children in the middle because I was having to give them just mundane, plod along tasks to get them going while I was scurrying around trying to do everything else. It was basically an impossible situation. On top of that, it meant that my marriage suffered. And, you know, I'm sure my relationship with the boys suffered as well. My mental health suffered. My physical health suffered. And I ended up having this near nervous breakdown. I felt suicidal. You know, I was burnt out. And I literally, one day, I could literally go no further. My car drove itself into a lay-by, and I literally sat there shaking. I couldn't go any further.
Yeah, I know what it's like when you're suicidal and stuff like that. It's terrible when you come. Everybody in life, they come to a point in life and think, you know, they've had enough and everything. And I'm so sorry that how you felt. Um, but now you're running your own business. You
Yeah,
know, it seems like you're more happier and everything.
yeah.
Um, do you kind of like so? What kind of clients do you have? Sorry, is it? Do you just have like children coming in, or do you get the parents coming in too?
Yes, I mean, sometimes I run quests and workshops where the parents are involved as well. So, obviously, for me, something that's very, very crucial, something that I make sure happens in the Switched On Academy as part of my methodology is collaboration. So, even though I may be teaching the children on Zoom or face to face, I always make sure that the parents, you know, we have a conversation at the beginning. There are I drip feed conversations through every 6 weeks. We all get together and we have another conversation. What's gone well? Where do we want to progress from here? So there is an open dialogue. And even when I run the quests and challenges, I set up a supportive WhatsApp group for the parents where they can all share the wins that their kids are having. They can liaise with each other. They share the work that's going on, and the other children can see the parents of the other children on the quest also bigging them up and saying, you can do this, or we love what you've written. And so that collaborative element for me is absolutely critical, that we're all on the same page. You know, it is a parent, teacher, child relationship right from the off.
And how can people get in contact with you if they want their child to get some help?
Yes. So I'm all over social media. You can find me on Claire Ford. My my website is switchedonglobal.com. So you can go on there. There's lots of free resources that you can download. And you can also book in a call from there so that we can have a conversation and see how I can pinpoint for you. What I do is I offer a free student success session where we map out a game plan to really see, all for free, to really see what steps your child can take moving forwards with your support, whether it's with me or not. That's all for free. And then if I think I can help you further, we discuss that afterwards.
And when can people contact you? Can they contact you now?
Yes, just hop into my messenger, right? Find me on Facebook and drop me a message in Messenger, and we can go from there. I'm open to having a chat to support families as much as I can.
Brilliant. Do you have a book?
I do. I've actually published several books. I'm an international best-selling author. I've got a book which I collaborated on, which is called Not Another Parenting Book, because another thing that I do is conscious parenting,
Yes,
supporting
yes.
parents, especially with behavioral strategies and meltdowns and all of that. Like I say, it's the whole child, right? So Not Another Parenting Book is out on Amazon. I think I wrote chapter 3 or 4. It's about, in fact, I've got it just here. Let me find
Yeah,
out what
show us
I've.
your books, yeah.
So here, Not Another Parenting Book. As I say, collaborated on that, and my chapter in this. So this is like the manual that we never have as parents. And I think my chapter is called Nurturing the True Essence of Your Child, which is a little bit about what we've spoken into today. Yeah, and
And
that is the key, right? To see the person who's in front of you for who they are, not for what you want them to be.
yeah, and that's it, and that's the key. And what's your other books? What other books have you got?
Yeah, so um,
Show us.
I've got Lollipops and Rainbows, and I love this book. I wrote this book during lockdown with the young people that I was teaching and mentoring. And we did a little author's quest. And the idea was that in a week, they went from a blank piece of paper to a story that would be published in just 1 week. Now, as they were writing their stories, I was writing this book alongside them, right? And so this book has got some of my stories in, but it's also got some of the children's stories in with their beautiful illustrations, right? That they did on the course with me. And at the back, in order to support parents who are teaching their children at home, there are loads of teaching resources and tick boxes to support parents so they can say, well, for example, I want my child to write a myth, or I want my child to write a letter. And they
Mm.
can go to the back and go, oh, this is how you do it. This is what it needs to have. These are examples of what it looks like. And then in the front, to inspire those children who are not into writing, who are reluctant writers, you can read the children's stories who did the writing, who are ages 8, 9, 10, and upwards. And also, there are activities for meditation, for follow up activities, and to have conversations as well to stimulate that imagination
Yeah.
and to stimulate that vocabulary, even if you've got somebody who doesn't want to write. So, it's really a very unique book. I got the little authors who contributed to the top 100 in Amazon during lockdown, and all the proceeds went to the NSPCC. So this is something that feels really special for me. It was a big journey behind it to get it to this
Well,
stage.
what I want to do, because I haven't got time today, but I want to go through that book with you sometime, and
Amazing.
interview more about that because I've actually looked at it, and I think it's excellent, and it
Thank
will help, it will help parents and everything, and I think it will be good. So what I will do is, I will get my wife to contact you in a bit and make another time and date up. Then we can talk about it more because, you know, um, there's a lot of interest here on the radio. You know, I'm not going to frighten you, but there's quite a lot of interest. And what people are saying is this, that you know people. yourself is needed for the children today because you know it's okay kind of like going into teaching, the wages are low and all that lot, and it's a job and everything. But at the end of the day, when you get one to one with a child and you can kind of like help that child to grow and mature and be themselves,
Yes,
that's all what you need,
that's right.
and I think what you do a fantastic job, by the way, and hats off to you. And we would love to come back, get you to come back again and talk about your book.
Oh, that would be amazing. It would be a fantastic opportunity. And the reason that I put all the teaching resources in the back is like, I'm not going to more like, let's empower parents. Let's empower parents to step into that space when they need to or when they want to, and to really take the bull by the horns and say, do you know what? We can do this at home. There is a way. Here is a system. Here is a method that we can really unlock that creativity, untap all that potential, and see the brilliance of that child in front of them. That is my mission.
And also, what you've got to realize is a person out there today, a young person out there today, might be the next PM, Prime Minister. You never
These are
know.
our young leaders of the future.
Yeah.
These young minds, these young minds are the minds of our future. And I take my role every day, very seriously and very humbly to be in this position, to be able to seed these ideas and these concepts and to put these growth mindset tools in place now to really change
Mm.
the trajectory, not just of that child's life, but actually for us as a human species. Absolutely.
I've got to ask you a question before I go. Can you imagine you've got a youngster and all of a sudden you give him all the help possible, and he comes to Prime Minister, and you're still alive to see that? What would you do?
I would be amazed. I would love to see, what the children become, who they become, in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time. I would definitely be alive to see that. And, this is the thing. Who knows? And the world that they're going to be living in is going to be so vastly different to what we can even imagine now, that we have to give these young people different sets of tools than what's being taught in schools. They are not equipped right now to step into adulthood and to cope with the different lifestyles and the different things that are going to be invented. They need different transferable skills. They need different mindset skills, and they need to be able to communicate with each other in a different way as well. So it's very, very exciting. I feel it's a pivotal time for our societies. It's a pivotal time for parenting consciously. It's a pivotal time for really making a difference in education. And I'm proud to be sticking my stake in the ground and saying, this is what I represent and this is what I do.
Well done, Claire. Well done. Thank you so much. That was Claire Ford, everybody. And if you're listening on radio, yeah, it's all about looking after your children and giving your children a future. And by the way, guys, I'm going to leave you now because I'm going to leave you with some 60s music because I'm going to go because I've finished for the day now. And Claire, thank you so much for all your wise words and everything. And please look on Claire's website and her Facebook, and she's got lots of information on there that could help you out.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. Bless you, Claire. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.